Good morning, Paterson.
Good morning.
So today we stand on the steps of City Hall in solidarity, getting ready to raise a purple flag, which demonstrates strength,
Yes.
which is definitely needed in times of crisis, especially during domestic violence. Domestic violence doesn't discriminate. It affects everyone, irrespective of your race, your religion, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation. Domestic violence impacts 1 out of 4 women and 1 out of 7 men. Today we'll hear testimonies of how people have been tested. But in Paterson, we're particularly appreciative and profoundly grateful to a young woman who's been raising public awareness
Yes.
as an advocate and as a victim relative to domestic violence. And so to lead today's program, I am proud to present a proclamation for all of her exemplary efforts to advocate on behalf of other victims. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause for our honoree, Francisco Nunez.
Yes. All right.
And in addition to presenting this proclamation to Francesca, I am proud to proclaim in Paterson that this is Domestic Violence Month. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Francesca, congratulations, and thank you for all your efforts.
Yep. Come on.
We'll just hold this for a second. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Francesco Nunez.
Please.
Wow, good morning, good morning. What an honor. Thank you, Mayor Andre Sayegh, council members, Ruby Cotton, Councilman Luis Velez, everybody that's here, thank you. As a domestic violence survivor of 17 years, I can't begin to describe everything I went through. Cannot describe. It was horrific. There was not resources back then for me to get out of that situation. And that's what pumped me now 2 years during COVID to run my nonprofit organization and also bring domestic violence awareness. So what happened to me doesn't happen to other women. I also include men, and I also include the youth too.
Yes.
So I'm just thankful and humble that I turned my tragedy into a purpose.
Very good.
During my domestic violence awareness, October 8th, before the event took place, I took 6 women out of a violent situation, and it just took me to do that event. So before I even started, I was taking out women out of that situation. And I also told them, you know, my story, because some I have removed with the side of their face like horrific. And it's just sad to see a situation like that. And like Mayor just said, it happens, you know, so often, and nobody has the resources. So I'm here for it. I'm willing to partner up with anybody that's gonna do the good fight. And I'm just thankful and humble. I don't look like what I went through, so I just thank God that He got me out of that situation, and I'm here to help many other women.
Very nice.
All right.
Yeah, raising awareness about domestic violence to prevent it from happening in the future.
Okay. From the 6 incidents that happened, I'm boots on the ground. I educate the women. I proceed for them to, like, you know, call the cops to initiate a complaint and a report. Also, a restraining order. They do change the locks in their apartment. I assist with that. And I do continue to do follow-ups. I do, you know, counseling. I see them in person. So I just don't work with the person and let them go. I put myself out there completely. And I do get them to the resources and the help that they need.
Thank you.
Oh, very important, because I'm living proof that I'm still here. In 2014, my ex-husband tried to stab me in front of my 16-year-old.
Yep.
So among many cases that I take on, I'm grateful that I'm alive. And I'm grateful that I can get someone out of that situation because many don't get out of it.
Yes.
Francisco Nunez, Francisca Nunez. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Francisco.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing. I've shared in the past that my mother was a victim of domestic violence. My brother and I witnessed what happened to her. And sadly, she's an immigrant from Syria and didn't know her rights. And if there was someone like Francesca for her here that could have advocated for her, she could have gotten out of that situation sooner than she did. And we want to prevent that from happening in the future for anyone, irrespective of race, religion, or country of origin.
That's right.
At this time, for some remarks, we have from First Love You, or AKA Fly, a women's network,
Yeah.
Melanie Holmes.
All right, Melanie.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a very important event. This is our 5th year of collaboration. We started out as a candlelight vigil at the courthouse steps, and it's remarkable that today would be our time to raise the flag of awareness. In this small period of time of us doing this flag raising, at least 15 people have called into the hotline of New Jersey for domestic violence. So it's really important. Every hour, 15 people are calling in to get help. There are several collaborations, Passaic County Women's Center, WAFA, there's the art councils, and everybody that comes together to make this work. Because, like she said, some people are being physically hit, but some people emotionally are getting abused as well.
That's right.
And so
That's
that's
right.
considered the same thing as emotional abuse is just the same. I have also been an individual that has overcome that, and that's why this is so dear to me, to be able to have this type of opportunity for people to say, let's raise the flag.
Yeah.
We no longer are going to be silent about suffering behind closed doors.
That's right.
The louder we are, the better it is.
Yeah.
So we're so privileged today to have Lynn Hobbins here from Black and Blue Foundation. She's a dear friend of mine, and she's definitely a survivor. She does not look like what she's been through. I don't think any of us do.
Yeah.
So we are going to give her a few moments to kind of share how she survived and continues to survive every day. And then after that, we'll have other council members.
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me this morning. For the 2nd year in a row, my name is Lynn Hobson, and I'm a publicist and an advocate for domestic violence survivors. Last year, I told my story. I'll keep that extremely short. I was dating someone. I didn't want to be in the relationship any longer. I broke it off, and the result of me breaking it off ended me up in the hospital with a ruptured eardrum, a few broken fingers, a black eye, and emotionally scarred, you know? Another thing is that when I went through the process of getting my temporary restraining order to my permanent restraining order, it was a very discouraging process. It was kind of like a lonely walk. Even though I had some support, it was just very discouraging with the courts and dealing with counselors, friends, family, to make the paperwork stick, you know? So today I just want to give a few tips to anyone that is struggling to get out of a situation. Here are some things that you can do to implement in your life that are sure to work. I would say that I'm completely healed, yet I am a work in progress, you know. Every day is a fight to, you know, be the best that I can be. My incident happened in 2012, and to this day, it still affects me. You know, when people walk up on me really close, or if a car gets really close to me while I'm driving, my nerves just get really, 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 really bad. It's a continuous process. The healing process is continuous. So I wanted to talk about a few things. When you're in an abusive relationship, it is very important that you get out of it, whether it's emotionally or physical abuse or mental abuse. So my premise is that whatever you are not changing, you are choosing.
Yes.
That's right.
And
Yes.
it is very important that you choose you first. I never chose me first. Even after the incident, just this year, I finally got the memo to choose me first.
Good for you. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Good for you.
I was being pulled from here, there, do this, do that, and just at everyone's beck and call, and I was not replenishing myself. So I'm today years old where I've started to do that thing. You know, there are some upsides to the pandemic, and that was definitely me finding myself and implementing a few things in my life. The 3 things that I implemented in my life are prayer, hustle, and discipline. Okay? Prayer. You cannot start the day off without acknowledging the Creator. There is a God. He sits high and he looks low. And you have to have a relationship with God, and you have to speak to him as if he's your best friend. Because when you go and call on your friends and family, they're not always available, you know? So it's very important that you call on your God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, the energy. You need to call on that for strength in the morning. First thing I do when I wake up, open my eyes, I am filled with joy, my heart is filled with joy. Okay? And then I go through a few Psalms. That's my preference. You can choose your routine, okay? That's prayer. Hustle. You can't just lay around all day and just cry about it and complain about it. Complaining and crying and reflecting on the past will get you nowhere. You have to get up and hustle. You have to get up and go get it. So if you have a job, you have to show up to work neat, clean, with a smile on your face, with those prayers in the back of your mind, uttering those prayers while you're out hustling. You know, setting an example, you know, doing the best that you can. Don't half-ass it. Do your job to the best of its ability. So if you work at McDonald's, it's important that you show up and you fix the best fries at McDonald's they've ever tasted. You understand? Yeah. And like myself, if I have clients, it's my duty to get up and report to them and do my job to the best of the ability to make sure that they're seen in the media's eye. Okay? That's hustle. And then discipline. Discipline is the consistency of prayer and hustle. Not only with discipline, I implement stretching, meditation. I have an app that I downloaded from Deepak Chopra. It's a meditation app. It's called the Chopra app, where I meditate daily. And I exercise. So I incorporate that prayer and that stretching and that meditation for at least 30 minutes to an hour before I start my day. And I write down a to-do list, and I stick to it. So for me, prayer, hustle, and discipline equals success. And I'm standing here today in my own success to tell you that you can do it too. It won't be easy. There will be bumps in the road. But God doesn't bring you towards something that you can't handle or that he can't help you handle. So at the end of the day, prayer, hustle, and discipline equals success.
Yes.
And thank you so much for having me.
Wow.
Thank you.
Very good.
Right.
Great job.
That was good.
Great job.
Thank you for sharing it. Do you also want to tell us who joined you today?
Oh, yeah, come here.
Let's see here. We have a special guest.
Yes.
What is your special guest's name? Is it Mr. Love Muffin?
Yes.
Everyone should have a Mr. Love Muffin in their lives.
Yes, this is Mr. Love Muffin. This is kind of like my security blanket whenever I go out and give speeches.
That's good.
And it's like he knows when I have to give a speech because he's at the door waiting for me. It's so weird, but I'm thankful for him.
Thank you. Let's have another round of applause for Lynn and Mr. Love Muffin. We're going to just raise the flag and come back and hear from our council people and come and hear from our director of public safety. But let's raise the flag right now, please.
Got a good win today. Thank you, Eamon Abushi Corporation Council. You made that arrangement. Thank you. We're going to bring it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, please don't go anywhere. We still have a few more individuals we'd like to hear from. As a matter of fact, I'd like to hear at this time from someone who's very empathetic, someone who knows how to de-escalate, and in his long law enforcement career, I'm sure he's dealt with far too many domestic violence situations, and that is our Public Safety Director, Jerry Spezial.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here to share with whether it be Fly, whether it be Lynn, whether it be Francisca. You know, we think about domestic violence, the D. It's dangerous, it's deadly.
Yes.
And really, what our job is to make sure that we provide the utmost protection. It is at the highest priority in our system when somebody calls and reports domestic violence. Please do not fear. Please do not fear coming to the police department or calling 911. We will be there. We will take a stance. We will protect you. And what can I say to each and every one of you in these organizations that are going out there and doing so much and asking so little? I just want to say thank you to each and every one of these organizations and survivors. We are here for you. We stand shoulder to shoulder with you, myself, Chief Ribeiro. We are ready, the entire police department. Please call us. Thank you.
Thank you, Director, and thank you, Chief Bert Ribeiro. Also, we'd like to hear from council members. So we'll actually proceed with ladies first.
That's right.
Former mayor, current councilwoman from the 4th Ward, the Honorable Ruby N. Cotton.
Go, Rube.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Let me say good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
And you know, I'm happy to be here
Yes.
because so many women and men go through situations that are so bad. And sometimes they're not sure how they're going to get out of it, or sometimes they're afraid of venturing out, meaning that they got to take care of themselves, their children. But I always say that God will make a way.
That's right.
That's right.
And I'm a true believer that if you put God first, He will help you get through.
That's right, Rube.
And I just want to say to the Paterson Performing Arts, and I love the name Black and Blue Foundation, perfect naming for your foundation. And also to the Fly Girl Network, who have always been very supportive of me as the councilwoman. But I want to say to everyone out there, sometimes just the look on your face when someone is going through stuff, just the look on your own face can help them feel better. And I can say that sometimes we don't know when God gonna send you a message to do something. So every message you get, you better do your best to do what you need to do. And I always say, my husband says constantly, and he's no longer with us, Ruby, you know how to answer your phone.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's true.
Because at the end of the day, I don't know who's at that other end. I don't know who's looking for help. I don't know who needs to be guided somewhere, but you answer your phone.
That's right.
And there's so many people here that needs help. But Mayor, to raise the flag, I thank you, to my council member Velez, but to you all out there. We must help each other. And sometimes you can just sit and watch and see something's going wrong in someone's household. You can see something's going wrong when you see couples together and way they treat their women in front of you. And it's horrible. And the female will look at you and with sad eyes and say, I don't know what to do. But you know, you got too many organizations here that will help you, show you what you need to do. And I'm happy to be a part of it with my good friend Francisca, who's come a long way, and to help other women to get out of the situation that they're in. She's come a long way, and there's so many women out here who have come a long way to help. But organizations that we got, Paterson Performing Arts, our Fly Girl Network, our Black and Blue, that's what God put you here for. You never know what God's putting you here for. So do the right thing when it comes to people. It's about caring about the people. It's about caring for ones that are looking for something, or looking for guidance, or looking to show them the way of what can I do. And it's about doing that. And I'm saying, as an elected official, and I'm going to say it, and I say it all the time, they call me old school. But you know what? Old school is good school. Because I'm going to remember everything that my ancestors taught me on what I need to be a good person, what I need to be a good woman to another woman, what I need to be a good to a family, what I need to be good for my community, what I need. And sometimes people don't understand that it's not just about making legislation, it's about caring for people. If you don't have it in your heart to care for it, I say please step down and step out. Because that's what we need, step down and step out. But ladies, I'm happy that we're here, and all of you out there that came out to enjoy this day, to help us to raise the flag. It is showing to me we're together. And no matter what people say, there's some of us that are together. And they can say whatever they want to say about us, but we're together. And I thank you, and God bless you all for coming. God bless you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cotton. Again, want to acknowledge our Corporation Counsel, Eamon Ibushi, also our Director of Policy and Planning, Aishia Hayes, and we've also just been joined by County Commissioner's Advocate for Victims of Domestic Violence, Pat Lepore.
Yeah, Pat.
At this time, we'd like to hear from our 5th Ward Councilman, the Honorable Louis A. Velez.
Thank you, Mayor. Today's a beautiful day.
It is.
It is. The sun came out after 2-3 days of rain.
Yep.
But it came out for a good reason. A good reason. Let me say this, right? To the females and males, do not ignore the red flags in the beginning of a relation. If you ignore the red flags, we're going to continue raising the purple flag. But if you start stopping the red flags and noticing those red flags, one day we're going to stop raising those flags, and probably we're going to have more funding and more resources instead of helping them getting out of the hospital, helping them get housing, benefits, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, every year since 2010, everybody was asking me, reporters, to do a safety awareness when domestic violence comes in. And I always say, get help, do this, do that. But nobody knows what you go through. Nobody knows. You know why? And it's a hard, tough position for us that we are public figure. We are public figures, and sometimes we stay silent, and friends stay silent with us because they don't want to jeopardize your public figure status. But I'm blessed that I came out of that red flag.
Right.
I'm blessed that I understood that I was a chronic victim domestic violence individual. And I encourage everyone out there that sometimes you have to forget about your status publicly, okay? Because I always put in my mind, in my head, oh, this 6'5" individual cannot go through domestic violence as a victim. But you open your eyes. And then I encourage those males that goes through this situation to look at the red flag and stop it. Because if you go with the ay bendito or I'm sorry, you will change. Sometimes those changes needs help to be able to change. So I encourage females, males, and any ethnicity and any orientation, sex orientation to seek help and make sure that you get the right, proper help. And let me say this, last but not least. Friends sometimes stay silent knowing that you're going through domestic violence. Friends, I encourage you to help that victim of domestic violence, and don't be silenced, because you probably gonna save a life. You are going to save a life. Trust me, I've seen those cases before, and continues in my office comes a lot of cases like that. But I have to say, if you're a friend of a victim of domestic violence, you be a sister or brother if you come forward and help that victim of domestic violence. It's hard. Commissioner, mayor, director, chief, councilwoman, everybody here, it's hard being a public figure and staying in silence. And I'm gonna say this, a lot of things have been written about me, about domestic violence, but nobody knew the facts until I start speaking about the experience I went as a chronic victim of domestic violence. God bless those that are going through those situations, and God give you the light to come out of that tunnel. But please be a friend of a domestic violence victim and save those lives. God bless you all.
Councilman, thank you for having the courage to share your experience, and also for a profound statement you made relative to red flags. That's right. And the purple flag we're raising today. We want people not only to identify warning signs, but inform the appropriate authorities of those warning signs. That's right. And that's why we're standing in solidarity today to say that you're not alone. That's right. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank my dear friend who reached out to me and said, let's organize this flag raising today. And she's a commissioner of the Paterson Arts Exchange, and that is our friend and champion, Denise Womack. Commissioner.
Yes, Denise, yes.
Thank you so much, Mayor Sayegh. I'm going to try to make this brief. Okay. Thank you. Perfect. I'm going to try to make this brief, but I want to say something really important here. First of all, I want to thank Mayor Sayegh and his office for, just jumping on this and pulling this together and making sure that we can move from what began as a domestic violence awareness and remembrance vigil for us. And when I say us, I'm talking about my organization, Paterson Performing Arts Development Council. And I mention that only for this reason. We are an organization, an arts organization, in as much as I represent the city as an arts commissioner. What we and my fellow board member, Carolyn Brown, this began as a journey. It's not only a personal journey for me, but it is a journey that we have had for many, many years that began in New York City. We were contacted by a friend with playwrights, and she asked us, she shared a story of domestic violence with us, and what we were able to do was to craft a play called Flowers, which is, surrounded around that poem that many of you know, I Got Flowers Today. And we were able to reach out to some domestic violence shelters in New York City and provide a play, and that became really a journey for us. And then we were privileged to meet Melanie Holmes at Fly Women's Network, and we were able to come together, and we said we need to do something in Paterson. So when I say that it is both personal and a passion, personal because what I want to talk about very briefly is the number of organizations that are tasked with this real work. That is not us, but I think it is important that we ensure that these organizations, Hearts of Hannah, Black and Blue Foundation, Fly Women's Network, Oasis, all of these organizations here and locally that are doing the work with the survivors of domestic violence, that are getting out there and are making ways and pathways for people to get out of these circumstances. That is important. But it is equally important that there are partners in the community, that we step up and we stand out. And I thank the mayor's office for this elevation today, because we need to not be silent. One of the things is when we talk about domestic violence, we always assume that this is an intimate thing. There's intimate partner abuse. But let me tell you, intimate partner abuse spills into the streets. It follows our children that see this, and if they don't become victims themselves, then they become victimizers. So now what I want you to understand that many years ago, I had my eye socket broken trying to defend my partner from a man who was abusing his wife, and we were trying to help her. So this is personal for me. And I thank these organizations for doing this work, but it is equally important that you step up, you stand out, and you say no more. Because when we lose our babies in the streets, when we see violence happening all around us, remember that this starts somewhere at home. And it starts because we aren't talking about this. Because we keep treating domestic violence as if it is a dirty secret. It is something that somebody brings on themselves. They do not. This is brokenness, people. And when you are about the business of healing, okay, that takes years. Some people, I thank Lynn for sharing that this is still a process, it is still a journey. I thank Francisco for saying that she doesn't look like her experience. But please understand that domestic violence is a scourge. We have to stand up. You have to say something. You can't be, as Councilman Velez said, ashamed. We cannot hide this. So again, I thank each of you organizations, I thank each and every one of you for coming out today, and know that we will continue this. We will continue till we don't have to do vigils anymore. Till we don't have to raise flags, purple flags anymore.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
right.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. What a way to put an exclamation point
Yes.
on today's event.
That's right.
And so you heard, today we're not only raising a flag, but we're raising awareness.
Correct.
And we do want to end domestic violence. And you can't predict when it's going to happen. But like we stated before, if you see the signs, say something. So someone can do something about it. Get yourself out of that situation, because you are not alone. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.